Rain slammed against the windshield as Mr. Snoop gripped the steering wheel tighter, trying to focus on the blurred road ahead. The wipers squeaked rhythmically, failing to keep up. In the back seat, his daughter, Lily, sat silently, her legs stretched out stiffly in front of her, unmoving. Her wheelchair was folded beside her, useless for this brief trip to the clinic. Another test. Another doctor. Another hollow hope. Traffic stalled. Red taillights stretched endlessly. Mr. Snoop sighed, rubbing his eyes. That's when he saw him. A boy, barefoot, soaked, maybe 12, stood on the sidewalk holding a cardboard sign. "I don't need food, I just need to talk to Mr. Snoop." Mr. Snoop blinked. Had he read that right? The boy caught his gaze and unbelievably smiled. Not a desperate smile, a knowing one. Snoop leaned closer, trying to get a better look. Cars began inching forward, but he couldn't move. Lily turned her head slowly. "Daddy," she said softly. "That boy's still staring at us." Snoop hesitated, then pulled the car into the gas station lot beside the street. He parked. Rain hammered the roof as he stepped out, quickly jogging over. "Hey," he called. "You're looking for me?" The boy nodded. His clothes clung to his thin frame. His eyes were startlingly clear, blue like frost, sharp, unafraid. "I'm Elijah," he said. "How do you know me?" Snoop asked, glancing back toward the car. "I know your daughter can't walk," Elijah said, voice low but confident, "and I know why." Snoop stared. "You some kind of runaway? A hacker?" "This some prank?" Elijah shook his head. "I don't have a phone, I don't even have a bed, but I see things. People think I'm weird. Maybe I am, but I can help her." "You expect me to believe that?" Snoop said, biting back the rising irritation in his voice. "I don't expect anything, just let me try." Before Snoop could respond, the passenger door opened. Lily had struggled to swing it out. "Daddy," she said again, her voice clearer now. "Let him come." He turned to her, heart thudding. She looked calm, curious. "Elijah," Snoop said, sighing. "Get in." The boy climbed in silently, water dripping onto the seat. Snoop returned to the driver's side, started the car, and pulled out, heading nowhere in particular. Inside the quiet cabin, Elijah spoke without looking at anyone. "She used to run through the woods behind your house, climb trees, race the neighbor kid, Zeke." Lily's mouth parted slightly. "You know about Zeke." Elijah nodded. "The fall happened last spring. You were climbing too high. You didn't scream when you landed. You stopped breathing." Mr. Snoop felt his throat tighten. "How do you know this?" he asked. "I just do." "And I know something else," Elijah said, turning slowly to Lily. "It's not your legs that are broken, not anymore." She frowned. "Then what is it?" Elijah paused. "Your body shut down, but your spirit, your will to move, stayed curled up in that tree. It's scared to come down. I can show you how to call it back." Mr. Snoop gripped the wheel so tightly his knuckles turned white. This was insane. Yet Lily was watching Elijah like he was telling her something she'd been waiting forever to hear. "Can we try?" she asked. Snoop looked at her, then at Elijah. "Where?" he said, voice dry. "The woods," Elijah replied. "Tonight." And for the first time in a long while, Snoop didn't say no. To see what happens when they go back to the woods, make sure to subscribe and tell us in the comments, would you trust a stranger if it meant hope for someone you love? The woods were darker than Mr. Snoop remembered. Shadows stretched between the trees like fingers, and the faint path Lily used to race down was barely visible now. He parked the car at the old trailhead, headlights casting long beams through the fog. "You sure about this?" he asked, looking at Elijah, who was already out of the car, barefoot on wet pine needles. Lily sat in her wheelchair, clutching the armrests. Her eyes weren't filled with fear, but something else, hesitation wrapped in fragile hope. "I need to try," she said quietly. "If he's wrong, I'm still the same. If he's right..." Snoop gave a sharp breath and nodded. He lifted her from the car as gently as he could. Elijah didn't speak, just walked a few paces ahead, never turning around. After 20 minutes of slow, uneven progress down the muddy trail, they stopped. Elijah pointed at a large tree with twisted roots, towering above the others. "This is the place," he said. Lily looked up, her breath caught. "I remember. That branch. I reached for it." "You didn't fall," Elijah said softly. "You slipped away." Mr. Snoop shifted beside her. "You keep saying that, like it means something." "It does," Elijah replied. "What broke that day wasn't just bones, it was trust in the world, in yourself." Lily's lip trembled. "I was alone. I thought I could do it. I thought I was strong enough." "You were," Elijah said, "and you still are. But you left part of yourself up there, the part that believed." Lily looked down at her legs. She moved a foot slightly, but it stopped again. No strength. Elijah stepped closer. "We're going to call it back, not with your voice, with your memory." "How?" "Close your eyes. Go back to that day. Picture the moment you climbed. Feel the bark under your fingers. Hear the wind." Lily obeyed. Mr. Snoop watched, uneasy, but unwilling to interrupt. Elijah crouched in front of her and took one of her hands. "You were laughing," Elijah whispered. "You felt tall, unstoppable." Tears streamed down her face, but her mouth curved into a faint smile. "I did. Now, call her back. The girl in the tree. Tell her it's safe, that you need her." Lily whispered something too soft to hear, then again louder. "Come back." And then a tremble, not in the air, but in her legs. Snoop knelt down beside her. "Lily?" She opened her eyes, wide with disbelief. Her right leg shifted, then the left. Her knees bent slightly, like an instinct kicking in after a long sleep. I felt that," she said, gasping. Elijah didn't move. "Don't push it, just breathe. Let her know you're here." Mr. Snoop's hands shook. "How are you doing this?" Elijah finally looked at him. "Some people hear things, some see. I feel pain like a scent." Hers was still in the air here. Lily's legs moved again, not walking, but alive. She cried softly. Mr. Snoop pulled her into his arms, speechless. When he looked up, Elijah was gone. They searched, but the woods were quiet. Only footprints in the mud showed where he'd stood. They returned to the car under a shivering moon. Lily was exhausted, but glowing. "Do you think he was real?" she asked. Mr. Snoop turned the ignition. "He was as real as your legs moving just now." And for the first time in nearly a year, the silence between them wasn't heavy. It was peaceful. 3 days passed. The change in Lily was subtle, but undeniable. Her legs twitched in her sleep. Sometimes she'd lift a foot without realizing it. The doctors didn't have answers, just words like spontaneous neurological response and unprecedented recovery. Mr. Snoop didn't care for the explanations. He cared that his daughter was smiling again. Still, he couldn't stop thinking about the boy. Elijah. Who was he really? He sat at his laptop late one night, eyes tired, coffee cold. He searched local shelters, missing child reports. Youth outreach programs, nothing. No Elijah matching the age or description. He called Detective Ramos, a friend from his time doing security consulting. "You think this kid's in trouble?" Ramos asked. "No," Snoop said. "I think he's been in trouble for a long time." There was a long pause. "I'll ask around," Ramos said. "But homeless kids, especially the quiet ones, they disappear in plain sight." Snoop stared out the window. Rain again. It always seemed to rain now. Down the hall, Lily was watching old videos of herself running through the woods. She paused one. "Daddy," she called. "Come here." He walked in and sat beside her. On the screen, 10-year-old Lily raced across the clearing, laughter ringing through the trees. But it wasn't her voice that caught him. In the background, just for a second, another child appeared. Not running, watching, barefoot. "Pause it," Snoop said. Lily tapped the screen. The boy's face wasn't clear, but something about the way he stood, the posture, the stillness, looked familiar. "Do you think?" she whispered. "I don't know," he replied. But his heart knew. The next day they went back to the woods, not to chase a ghost, but because Lily asked. "I don't want to forget where I stopped," she said, "or where I started again." They walked slowly, no wheelchair, just her hand on his arm. Her legs trembled every few steps, but she kept going. At the base of the big tree she stopped, closed her eyes, breathed deeply. Then she bent down and touched the dirt. "Thank you," she whispered. On their way back to the car, Snoop noticed something tucked under a rock, a folded piece of brown paper, weather-worn. He picked it up and opened it. It was a hand-drawn map, crude but clear. It showed the woods, the tree, and a dotted line that led beyond them, to an overpass near the old train station. At the bottom was a message. "If she walks, I'll be here. E." Snoop looked at Lily. "We're going," she said, no hesitation. The overpass was cold and littered with old sleeping bags and cans. A few distant figures shuffled between tents, but no sign of Elijah. They waited 2 hours. Just as they turned to leave, a voice called out, hoarse but familiar. "You came." He stepped from the shadows, thinner than before, a rip in his hoodie, but his eyes still bright. Lily walked toward him, slowly, carefully, but she walked. Elijah smiled, and for a second his eyes glistened. "I knew you could," he said. Snoop stepped forward. "You need help, Elijah." "A place to stay." Elijah looked away. "I don't do walls." "You can't live like this," Snoop insisted. "I've lived worse." Silence stretched. Then Lily said, "Can we at least bring you lunch tomorrow?" He shrugged, then nodded once. "Same place?" she asked. He smiled. "Same place." And just like that, he vanished back into the concrete world. The next morning, Lily was up early. She packed a small brown bag with care, 2 sandwiches, a thermos of soup, and an apple. "Do you think he'll really show?" she asked. Mr. Snoop looked up from tying her shoelaces. "I think he's the kind of person who only breaks a promise if it keeps someone else warm." They drove in silence, city sounds slowly rising with the sun. The overpass loomed ahead, dull gray against a pale sky. Lily walked slowly but more steadily now, each step more her own. Elijah was waiting. He sat cross-legged beside a graffiti-covered column, sketching something in the dirt with a stick. When he looked up and saw them, his smile was faint but real. "You brought lunch," he said. "I promised," Lily said, handing him the bag. "It's still warm." He opened it and took a bite like he hadn't eaten in days, but with no desperation, just quiet gratitude. Snoop crouched beside him. "You drew this?" he asked, pointing at the dirt. Elijah nodded. "It's the tree, the one she fell from." Snoop looked closer. It was crude but full of feeling. There were tiny stick figures too, one reaching, one watching. "You were there," Snoop said. "Not just the day of the fall, before that." "I used to sleep in those woods," Elijah said. "Safer than the shelters. I saw Lily run past every afternoon. I don't think she ever saw me." "I didn't," she whispered. "But maybe I felt you." He nodded. "You were always loud," he said with a slight grin. "Your laugh scared the squirrels." Lily laughed then, genuinely. "I used to pretend I was faster than the wind." "You were," Elijah said. They sat there a long time. Elijah ate. Lily talked about the first steps she'd taken since that night in the woods. Mr. Snoop mostly listened. He watched Elijah like he was trying to read a language written in scars and silence. Finally, Snoop spoke. "You said you don't do walls." "But you can't live like this forever." "I don't plan to," Elijah said, "but I need to be on my own terms. I've been in systems. They break more than they fix." "Then what can we do?" Lily asked. Elijah looked at her for a long time. "Come back, that's all. Just keep coming back." They agreed. Every day that week they returned, brought food, stories, bandages, a clean shirt. Slowly, Elijah opened up. He'd run away at 10. Mother disappeared. Father vanished deeper into alcohol and rage. Elijah slipped between cracks no one saw until he was just gone. "You didn't deserve that," Snoop said one day. "Doesn't matter," Elijah replied. "It's what happened." But the wall he carried around him began to soften, Lily brought him a sketchbook. Snoop brought a blanket. Elijah drew the city, the trees, people he imagined, people he remembered. "I think I want to be an illustrator," he said once. "Books for kids who feel invisible." "You won't be invisible much longer," Snoop said. But something in Elijah's eyes clouded then. Not fear, not doubt, distance, like he already knew he wouldn't be staying much longer. By Sunday, Elijah didn't show up. They waited an hour, 2. They asked the others under the bridge, but no one had seen him since Friday. Snoop left his number with a man in a red beanie. "If he comes back, tell him we're looking for him." Lily sat silently in the car, sketchbook on her lap. "Do you think he's okay?" she asked. Snoop didn't answer. He didn't know. But in her lap, on the last page of the sketchbook, was a drawing she hadn't made. It was of her, standing tall, smiling, and beside her, a boy fading into the trees. Weeks passed. Lily's strength grew steadily. First steps became short walks. She could climb stairs now, slowly with help, but she could do it. Her doctors remained baffled. They called it anomalous partial recovery. But Snoop knew the truth. It had started the night they met Elijah. Still, he never came back. Every few days they returned to the overpass. Left food, left notes, talked to the others living there. Most shrugged. One man said he'd seen a boy hitching a ride west. Another claimed Elijah had left for good. "He doesn't stay in one place," the man said. "But he leaves it better than he found it." Lily didn't give up. She started sketching again. All the drawings were of him, sometimes as a boy, sometimes older, sometimes almost glowing under a streetlight. She titled one, "The Boy Who Helped Me Walk." One evening, as autumn crept in, Lily came into the living room holding something. "A letter," she said, "in my sketchbook. It wasn't there this morning." Snoop took the folded paper. Inside, a message written in uneven but careful handwriting. "I didn't stay because I wasn't meant to, but you did. You stayed, even when it was hard. That's why you can walk now. Not because of me, but because you came back. Don't stop. Not ever. E." There was no return address, no last name. Just a drawing tucked inside. Lily, years from now, standing in front of a school chalkboard surrounded by kids, teaching. She stared at it for a long time. "I think he saw me before I did," she said. Months later, Lily gave a speech at a youth conference about resilience. She didn't mention Elijah by name, but she described a boy with eyes like winter and words like medicine. She told the crowd, "Hope doesn't always look like you expect. Sometimes it's barefoot and strange and disappears before morning, but it leaves you changed." The story reached local news, then national. One day, a letter arrived at Snoop's door. No return address again. Inside was a photo, Elijah standing outside a bookstore in Oregon, holding his first published graphic novel. The title, Invisible Trees. The dedication inside read, "For the girl who walked again, and the man who believed in second chances." Mr. Snoop sat with the photo in his lap for a long time. That weekend, he and Lily flew to Portland. They didn't find Elijah. The store said he'd left weeks ago, headed south, no one knew where. But on a wall outside the store was a mural, his art. It showed a little girl climbing a tree, and a boy waiting quietly below, watching to make sure she didn't fall. Lily touched the painting and smiled. "He's still with us," she said. Snoop nodded. "Yeah, he is." They stood there quietly, wind brushing past, leaves tumbling down the sidewalk. Lily turned to him. "Do you think he'll ever come back?" "He doesn't need to," Snoop said. "He already did what he came to do." She took his hand. "Then let's go do what we came to do," he smiled. "Let's." They walked off together, father and daughter side by side. No wheelchair, no doubt, just forward. And somewhere in another city, another street, maybe another broken place, Elijah was watching. If this story moved you, consider subscribing and clicking the next video on screen. It was chosen just for you, and you're going to love it.